Welcome, welcome, brothers, welcome, sisters, welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you're free to pick up your telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue trending. But most of all, you can introduce your own topic. You can introduce your own subject matter. We're on Sister Radio Karaku 92.9, RealFM 91.9. We're on Facebook and YouTube. And the number to call is 442-0175. Today, Catholics in most areas have the memorial of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, a religious sister. You could go to church every Sunday and you don't bother about much knowledge about the church. But I always encourage people, you must know why you're doing what you're doing. So you must pick up a culture of it. This sister was a religious sister, and I believe she was important to me because she was married. She had 6 children. She founded the first American religious community, the Sisters of Charity. She opened the first parish schools in America. She established the first orphanage, and she died by 46 years. And she was the first American to be canonized in the church. So I think her role was significant. And some people go to church. I always encourage people, Catholics like a lot of rituals. So I always encourage them. You must know why you're doing what you're doing. But today you can give us a call. The number to call is 442-0175. In Grenada today, I continue to speak on the issues. Sometimes I don't hear wrong. I believe it's important. We have institutions in our country, and institutions supposed to make life more palatable, easier. People who are involved in these institutions are not supposed to make life burdensome and hard. If you remember in the scriptures, they said, why bestow upon our people rules and regulation that we and our forefathers were not able to keep? Christians always trying to put pressure on other Christians. And they want to bestow rules and regulation that they themselves cannot keep. And I take some objection to that. Today we have NIS. I promise to speak about it. The NIS in Grenada is important. NIS is necessary. I've always chastised NIS for not working hard enough to make certain that more Grenadians are paying NIS. Bus drivers, fishermen, people involved in private enterprise and small businessmen. But NIS makes it very burdensome and difficult for people to join NIS. Very burdensome. From Ivan, they get worse. Not Ivan. COVID-19. The NIS use COVID-19 to make it much more difficult, much more palatable, much harder for people to pay NIS. And I think it's sad and it's unfortunate. From COVID-19 to now, NIS changed their modus operandi about 4 times. The method by which you could pay NIS and submit the names of your workers they change it on a number of occasions. And it makes it very difficult, even for the average person who do not have a secretary or do not have the kind of computer knowledge or they're not technological savvy. NIS makes it very burdensome and difficult to them. I am wondering whether there is any difference between the NIS hierarchy and the people involved in pre-deal larceny in Grenada. The police said that 3% of the crimes in Grenada are pre-deal larceny crimes. In fact, pre-deal larceny only account for 3% of the crime. I applauded the police in one of my programs. And I encouraged them to give us the demographics on what percentage of persons that was found guilty or charged for pre-deal larceny crime, what percentage did not have a good education? What percentage left school without a basic education? What percentage are involved in substance abuse? Because from my own research, I believe a significant amount of people involved in pre-deal larceny are people involved in substance abuse, coke in particular, and people who are constant repeaters in prison, and also people who did not leave school with a basic education. It practically seems to me that these factors are seriously contributing to pre-deal larceny. Now I ask, how is the NIS different from these group of people that involve in pre-deal larceny? Sometimes we make the mistake in our country that because people have a good education, because they're in a good job, they are far different from those that commit what we might call dumb crimes, stealing and cursing people and behaving badly. They may be more sophisticated in their disposition. Why is it that institutions of that nature are making it extremely difficult for the ordinary man? I will invite the Minister of Agriculture, because of the terminology he used in Parliament. He said that the people that involve in the pre-deal larceny crimes, he considered them as lunatics and idiots. So I want to challenge him today to do some research, travel with me, and to hear how he would describe the members of NIS board and the top management of NIS. And not manager. You have one manager, but you would have top management people, the people who attend NIS management meeting. Because I believe they're no different from those who involve in pre-deal larceny. Why do I say that? You have people, particularly those who do not have much workers, not the established like government or Hubbards or Hoggins or Steel or the SGU. These people have no problem with NIS. They have personnel departments. They're computer savvy. They're technologically ready. And no matter what change NIS make, they will be able to manage it easily. But think about somebody in construction, the farmers, those who are self-employed, the small businessmen. You see, and we normally used to walk into NIS office, pay the dues, and submit the names. Welcome, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, my
J.
caller, welcome.
You speaking anything specific?
No, 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 no. You could interrupt me anytime.
Okay. Something that crossed my mind. Just a simple suggestion to a lot of us, those of us who would have lost their job. I believe a meaningful way in which they can occupy themselves is to stick something in their backyards that would be a later and could probably put food on their table, and the excess you can maybe even sell to the neighbors. Very soon we have Independence and we have Easter coming up, a few okos and small things. You don't have to have a whole lot of land. In my backyard, I have a number of drums that cut and put salt in it, and we have seasoning. The size is so scarce nowadays. In some cases, from $5, it went up to $7 a pound, and you could hardly get in the market. And these are things that we can do to help ourselves. A lot of our parents didn't walk outside of the home before, and they provided for their families. And in a lot of cases, they had a lot of children. I mean, we don't know how they did it, but with the help of what they got from their husbands and their relatives, they make it. So I believe we too can make it, turn around the negative into a positive situation. One of the better days for me in working is when I go to the garden. I mean, going in the garden, the trees, the leaves, no COVID. I mean, you get to spend quality time with yourself to reflect. You could drink from the spring and just enjoy nature. And these two, could help us in a long way to take care of our families. Have a great day, Mr. Pierre, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, sister. And this is a very good suggestion that people who lost their job, you don't need to get frustrated. What you need to do is to immediately take on some personal challenge. And one of them, as the sister said, is planting behind your house. It would not bring you the kind of income you had. It may not even bring you income, but it is practically therapeutic. Maybe you could get yourself engaged in exercising. Get yourself engaged in planting flowers around your house. It's very important that you don't be depressed while you continue to search on the market for a job. My heart goes out particularly to the women who lost their job. Some of them would have financial commitments and they could go into a period of shock and serious economic woes. Try your best not to turn the anger of losing your job on your members of your family. Some women could get very touchy and aggressive with the men because they lose their job. The man didn't cause you to lose your job. As a result of the income now, if you were a serious partner in generating income in the house, there'll be less income. And the man might not have more to give you, and it could end up in conflicts. These are the times you'd have liked, and this sister always bring out the softer side in me. Because these are the times that you would have liked to hear radio programs and other issues encouraging people to it's almost psychological, giving them advice. This is the time to get occupied. Don't use it to get angry. Don't use it to get bitter. Don't use it to be angry with your neighbor. We just from the Christmas season. Faith, hope, love, joy, peace. We celebrate Christmas on the 25th, but it's an ongoing process. We need to be rejuvenated And as the sister said, try to get yourself occupied. They always have a story, don't put your eggs in one basket. And I constantly encourage people, from the day you leave school and go to the job market, you must try to have two jobs or two sources of income. And you must save 20% of the money that you work for. You must save it for the first 30 payments, 10 or 20%. So in the event that you lose your job, for the first 3 payments or the first 3 months, you will not have serious economic shock. You will be able to use from your saving to continue to pay your bills. I always advise people on that. We enter a new era in Grenada, that every time a political party come in power now, a lot of people could lose their job. I consider it as one of the saddest periods post the revolution. When people working for 4, 5, 9, 17 years, and a government come and fire them because of political mischief. I think it's a sad period, and I hope and pray that Deacon Mitchell rescind the letters, redraw, take back, re-employ, particularly the women that you have fired. When a woman working for all these years and is an income generator in the house, sometimes she owe the furniture makers, she paying susu, she owe the shop, and you immediately, unexpectedly, that is a shock of it, These people never expect to lose their job. There was promise that they will be made permanent. And that is the shock of it. Now, if they had expected to lose their job, they might have tightened up the expenses in the last 3, 4, 5 months. They didn't. Because they were more confident I wouldn't lose my job. And they lost it now. It is not easy for these people to get a job. That is why they're in the parallel service. It's not easy. Some of them are 30, 40, 50 years. Who is going to employ them? It's not easy for somebody who was a cook all her life to go on cutlass now in agriculture. The muscles in her hand don't even develop for cutlass. It's not easy. The job market is sluggish. We put over 600 people unemployed. So it's not to say they're going to get a job. It's difficult to get a job. And my concern is the women. Why? When you have a disaster, a crisis, you secure women and children first. That is the laws of humanity. So the men will always survive. But it's harder and harsher on the women. But the advice the sister gives is well taken. Try to get yourself occupied. Don't be despondent. Be extremely hopeful. Now, the NIS changes the method of payments. So normally you used to go to the NIS, and let us work with 10. Let us suppose you had 10 workers, and you went and paid NIS, and each of the worker was working for $1,000. Initially, you pay $90 per person. So that is $900. You write down the name of the person, the number if you know it, the amount they're working for, and $90 in the end. And you would give NIS $900. That was the end of the story. A worker who was on sick leave would bring the sick leave to the employer. The employer signed the sick leave, and give back the worker, that is the end of the story for the employer. Now, after COVID-19, NIS changed that method. Now we move not to 9, but 11%, 5% from the employer and 6%, 5% from the employee and 6% from the employer. NIS is accepting the money, but they're not accepting the names from the employer. I want the public to understand what NIS is doing. NIS is accepting the money that you pay. So you go inside now and pay $900 for your 10 workers, but you submit no names. NIS say you must go home, snap the names on your phone, and send it to them through an email. That was a serious challenge for a lot of employers that don't have a staff per se, don't have personal office, and if they're not very computer savvy. You have a lot of people in Grenada that's going to make a call on computer, but they're not very computer savvy. Now, after 2 months pass, they go back next month, they pay, but the names didn't submit. Now, if that employer do not have an office, do not have secretarial service, and the employer kind of chupool, and he himself don't have much confidence in his literary skills, in his writing, then 3-4 months could pass and the names don't go to NIS. Now, while that is there, NIS change the format again. They accept the money, but the method that you use to post to NIS change that again. This one is more complicated. And while you're struggling with that, NIS change it again. This one is even more complicated. And you have a lot of employers who are not technologically savvy. So every month, the employer goes and pay the money, $900, for the workers that they have. But names is not going to NIS. Now, NIS, these people, let us suppose there are instances when this person go to the doctor, falls sick, and they go to NIS. NIS send them back to the employer. So the employer now signs the form, that is what used to go on, and they bring the form to the employer. But now the employer have to keep the form and send it to NIS. And these employers, and a lot of situations, they don't know nothing about the computer. Or they cannot manage a smartphone even if they have a smartphone. And in the first place, they don't keep that accurate records of the workers. They know they had 5 workers this month and they pay for it. So now the worker don't come to work, they still pay for it. Sometimes they fire 2 workers, they have 6 this month, so they pay for it. So they're not able to easily reproduce the records of the workers. And when the workers are sick and they go to NIS, they get no money from NIS. Although NIS collected the payment. Now, if you think it is bad, it's getting worse. NIS wants employers to accept the money when somebody's sick. NIS wants the money to come on the employer account and for the employer to pay the workers. Now, the relationship between a lot of workers and employer is very bad because the workers see the employers as thieves, rogues, wicked, mingy, don't helping nobody, and dealing. A lot of people in the country, including the government, claim that the workers are underpaid. They don't work in for enough money. No, that is the relationship that exists between a lot of employers and some workers. So some employers would not even go to a worker who might be able to do these things to help them. And NIS is benefiting from the money from the employer, and they're not paying the workers their sick leave because they claim that the employer didn't submit their names. But when you tell a worker the employer does submit their names, the worker sometimes go and fix up the employer. You didn't pay for me. There is one instance that I heard where this incident took place. The girl did not get her sick leave money, although she dropped the sick leave form for the employer. So when she went back to work, she gave the employer proper cussing and leave and go back home. Now, I ask myself, why is it our best minds in the country is making life so difficult for the unsuspecting, the marginalized? These people are intelligent. These people have all set of computer facilities. These people are introducing a new system, but they are aware that a lot of the smaller employers in Grenada are not that technological savvy. Even in the politics, and you observe some of the old politicians was not on social media. Some of those politicians just come on social media. Even within parliament, you heard politicians complaining about not having a written document because there was not that technological savvy. Now, I want the Minister of Agriculture to tell me if the names he described, the people who involved in predial larceny, do your research, see if there is any truth in what I am saying, and then tell me how you're going to consider the board of NIS and the senior management. When I speak about the management, I'm talking about those involved in management meeting. Because a big organization like NIS, they have a couple of managers. I wouldn't surprise they have 8 or 9 departmental managers. Why is it we're tricking our own people? It's difficult for me to understand. Why is it our best minds in Grenada are tricking our own people? I sat down with shock and unbelievable when I heard our teachers decided they was going to go to the school and don't talk to children. When they decided they wanted to abandon the school during lunchtime and make it known, I took objection to the teachers union in Trinidad when they was asking teachers not to interfere in conflicts. When over 90% of conflicts do not reach the stage where you have to raise an eyebrow once you have the involvement of adults. I look at the National Democratic Congress come in power and decide to incorporate victimization as part of the policy. I watch with astonishment how the government of the day is unraveling the confidence of the financial institution in low-income group. And it's difficult for me to understand why NIS is deliberately making it unpalatable and difficult and hard for the unestablished employers, the fisherman, the bus driver, the agriculture worker, the small shop person to pay NIS. NIS is helping to create bitterness and fracture and anger among employee and employers. Now tell me, with all this technology that NIS have, the administrative costs in NIS is increasing. And everybody believe that you have to raise the pension age to satisfy the administrative costs in NIS. I never hear backside so in my life. Just now, NIS going to raise the pension age to 75 because they want you to die before you get a cent. But today, NIS is depriving the ordinary man from even the sick leave benefit. And we have our intelligentsia happy and comfortable with that. That is one of the reasons I don't care anymore about reparation. Because black people enslave black people. For over 700 years, slavery was being practiced in Africa before the European go down and buy slaves. Over and over, I see in Grenada that our intelligentsia is not helping the marginalized, the ordinary man. So today I call on the Minister of Agriculture because he thought it was lunatics and idiots that was involved in the pre-deal larceny. I beg to differ because I believe a lot of people that involved in pre-deal larceny did not exit school with a basic education. A lot of them is on substance abuse. A lot of them went to prison, and it's difficult to get a job because a lot of companies in Grenada now would not employ you if you don't have a police record. A lot of our young men cannot go for a police record, and it's difficult to get a job. The previous government introduced Project Fly, the money program, second chance, and it has been lambasted and attacked. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carr.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Mr. Carr, I want to ask you a question because the other thing I don't understand about certain institutions in this country, I want to find out is whose interest in NIS seeking. Is it their interest or the people's interest? Because, okay, question for you. Does the NIS have the power to call an organization if it doesn't pay for a certain worker to pay up?
Yes.
Does it have that power?
Yeah.
Well, I worked for the Eastern Main Road Rehabilitation Project 83, 84, 85, 86. I left the job in 86 for reasons more than one. And I now telling me they cannot allocate the money for 83, for 85 and 86. And I know I was the driver at the time. I used to bring the man to pay every fortnight, every month. So I kind of figure out how could that happen? Because if you have the power to call up the organization to pay up, and I didn't pay, they didn't pay for me. Why didn't you call me? They're supposed to still pay me the money.
Could they go back and get records to know if you were paid?
But the gentleman I was driving, I was his personal driver. I sent a letter to them.
To say that he paid for you?
Huh?
To say that he paid for you?
But though he was not a finance man, he was the chief engineer.
Well, who was the finance person then?
The finance person was Mr. McDonald, but he died.
He died.
And then the next financial person was Mr. Belfont. He died as well.
Well, NIS must be jumping up in glory. Thank God they don't want to pay you.
I know his pay they don't want to pay.
Yes, my brother, this is what have me baffling.
Yeah,
Why is it our own people taking advantage of us?
Yeah, man. Yeah, because I as a poor man, I work hard. I work night and day. When I'm sleeping in the night, I work in. And no one meant to get my little thing at my age now. You tell me you cannot allocate the funds when it's your responsibility to call the people and say you didn't give us funds for people. It's not fair.
It's
Anyhow,
difficult.
Master Carl, you're doing a very good
Thank
job.
you, Colin.
I'm listening to you on a daily basis. You are my part of my lunch and breakfast and everything else. So continue good work, yeah?
Thank you, Colin.
Blessings.
I don't understand why is it all four parents did not have the opportunity to get the education that we have. We have a better education than we four parents, and our children have a better education than us. But it seems that every generation of us turning against us. Why is it members of the management of NIS is behaving and doing everything, in my opinion, to disadvantage people? If somebody pays the NIS and you give them a form to fill up with all the names and you're in a transition period, why don't you take the paper they send in, photocopy it, so at least in the transition period, you have the original records. You know, a lot of these people don't keep records. A lot of them can't even spell the name of the workers. And that is why a lot of people is not paying NIS, because sometimes it embarrasses you and it's very cumbersome. Although you educate children, children are not cultured to help Grenadian business. This is why we don't have this generational wealth, this pass on. You don't have to believe me. Look in your area, your community, and see how much business that is functioning and you have children involved in it. Even if the children is better educated, they don't support good, thriving business. Now, why NIS? A big institution like that. Now, if you think what I'm saying is bad, it's getting worse. NIS want the doctor to send the information to them. I've not verified this one yet. I believe it, but I've not verified it. The girl said she go to doctor and she go for a paper from NIS to go to the doctor. And NIS says they have to have a portal. And when she tell the doctor about a portal, the doctor tell her, go and get the portal. So when she go back and ask NIS about the portal, they say the doctor could send it without portal. So the girl boyfriend come and ask me in the room shop, what is a portal? I thought he was talking about Portland in Jamaica. He said NIS portal. So I had to ask somebody, what is NIS portal? Now, why in God's name our own people is going out of their way to disadvantage the marginalized in this country? Over the years, I've been studying the violence level from my own way in Jamaica. In 1962, Jamaica had one of the lowest violence level in the world. Today, Jamaica have one of the highest violence levels. And over the years, I believe that some of the violence in our country is as a direct result of the education system and the mentality of those who in academia, those who in position, our intelligentsia, because of the mentality. They believe when they have a lot of certificate, they're in a new social class. So although 70% of the children who exit school in Grenada cannot meet the basic requirement, they're well satisfied with that. They have a selection system. The University of the West Indies have done well for the Caribbean in internationalizing the Caribbean, in giving us international recognition, world recognition. But the University of the West Indies has not done justice for the Caribbean. That sounds like a paradox. So let me repeat it again. The University of the West Indies give the Caribbean recognition. I believe they fall in the first 4% of universities in the world. So the Caribbean is recognized as a result of the University of the West Indies. But the University of the West Indies has not done justice for us in the Caribbean. Tell me how much university graduates involved in the fishing industry. Japan said more fish die in our old age than what we hold in the Caribbean. I don't know if Japan wants to justify sweeping the ocean floor and take all the fish. But I'm an ordinary rustic of nondescript breed. I cannot challenge Japan. If our university or a big institution don't challenge them, I cannot challenge them. Tell me what the University of the West Indies has done for fishing. In ancient medicine, a significant percentage of it was involved in B&B products, honey, propolis, pollen. Everybody in the world knows the importance of bees in pollination. Tell me what the University of the West Indies has done for beekeeping or bees. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Sir Pierre,
Yes, my brother, welcome.
good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
And also to the listening public. First and foremost is my belief the USA blockade on Cuba must ease up. But right now, Cuba is saying, America is saying, calling on Cuba to free the political prisoners. America is not telling them to free the criminals who break place, rape, and murder. They're asking the Cuba government to release political prisoners. It has too many down there. The people of Cuba is suffering right now. America want them free. Free them and they'll ease up the embargo. Unless that don't happen, the embargo will last for the next 200 years. The U.S. blockade on Cuba was imposed on 7 February 1962 by President Kennedy. And that blockade has lasted more than about 6 decades. Generation Cuban have suffered its consequence, and its impact has been felt in all sectors of society and continues a flagrant violation of human rights. But America is asking to free up the jail. Free the people that they have freedom. They are that are drowned. They perish in the ocean and they remain there. It's becoming unbearable. The main obstacle, the principle of the so-called revolution don't know. And I, in my own scoping out of things, all the soldiers and Pierre that used to say they bury them in the sea. In America, they're going. They're going for the U.S. So all the communists and this and that in America, they're going. And Anything happen with America that come in. Any disaster in America, no other country cannot help. I am urging the Caribbean leaders to stick with America. I have to swallow my words because when I scope out, America is the only country that helped any disaster in them. Anything. If it was not for them, guys just take gun and go and seek up police every day. But they know they will be arrested by America if they do that. So Happy New Year, and America stand firm. And the Cubans must be free. They're in too much, they're in bondage for too long. Free up the jail. Too many political prisoners up there. And then the embargo will be released. Thank you, Sophie.
Yes, scholar, thank you. A very important discussion. And I have to agree with you completely. Cuba has contributed immensely to Grenada. And we must be ever thankful to Cuba. But look at me on a radio station, expressing my views and opinion. Some people are glad if I'm not on radio. So I support Cuba freeing up the political prisoners. After 6 decades, what people doing in prison still? The Caribbean is asking America to lift the embargo, and I agree with them. But they must also ask Cuba to free up the prisoners. Free up the prisoners in Cuba and free up the press. You cannot be on one hand supporting Cuba to keep political prisoners in Cuba while we in Grenada free up. The government under Keith Mitchell free up the radio stations. And we have about over 30 radio stations of license, maybe 17, 20, 25 operating. And we have an opportunity to speak. We have social media. So I agree with you, caller. They must also free the prisoners in Cuba. And Caribbean politicians must call on Cuba to free up the political prisoners. And call on the United States of America to free up the embargo. We must seem and appear to be fair. I always soft on politicians because I believe our politicians have contributed immensely to Grenada, particularly Eric Matthew Gary and Dr. Keith Mitchell, the most successful politicians in Grenada, the most democratic politicians, the most tolerant politicians. Dr. Keith Mitchell, post-83, the most tolerant political leader and successful and win his constituency convincingly all the time. So with that in mind, we have to prepare to accept democracy without fighting to manage it. We're glad we have freedom of the press. So we must make the call that Cuba too must have freedom of the press. And the United States, time to stop that. Free up the embargo. And you could give me a call. The number to call is 442-0175. We've been talking quite a lot. NIS. Now, NIS is doing injustice to people in this country. And it's difficult to understand why our own people tricking us. When Kenneth Kaunda come in Grenada, he told Maurice Bishop, your enemies in your footstool. Because every day Bishop and them singing, AK speaking Spanish, and Reagan can understand it. And if you touch Nicaragua, you touch Cuba, you touch Grenada. Kenneth Kaunda tell them the revolution is like a serpent. It eats its children. And your enemy is within your footstool. We have to stop walking around in Grenada as if we are victims. We are not victims. Our biggest problem here is ourselves, our Grenadians, our intelligentsia, our people in management position, academia. They are the ones that making it difficult for people. The NIS is making it difficult, and they're doing as if nobody can criticize them, because all of them have a briefcase, a certificate, and they're playing down, heavyweight in tongue, while they're taking advantage on their own people. So I'm challenging the Minister of Agriculture. You call the people in Prida-Lassini lunatics and idiots. That was not very sensible. But I see no difference between NIS board and the NIS senior management and those individuals who involved in Prida-Lassini, depriving the farmers from the yam, sauersup, ginger, and other products. You also are depriving the people from the sick benefit. I don't know how you explain that. I don't know how you could feel comfortable to know an employer comes and pays his NIS, but he no longer could submit the names because he don't have the ability to do it. And you refuse to guide him correctly. And longer he stays, because he is not known to keep record or keep books, it is more difficult for him. And if he make a mistake, 2 years after, you come in and charge him one amount of money. The NIS is acting like a deterrent from the people, smaller business people who do not have offices and so. The fisherman, the bus driver, the small shopkeeper, the farmers who have 2-3 workers working on them. They're making it very difficult for them to pay NIS. Now that the farmer go and pay the NIS make it extremely difficult for him to submit the names. Yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon again, Mr.
Yes.
Pierre. I just want to say Happy New Year and thank you to the management and staff of RealFM for continuing to give us this medium whereby we can express ourselves. So many times when other mediums do not carry a lot of the program, like the Senate and so. For example, some time ago I was listening and the current went, and the only thing I had was a little battery operated radio, and I tuned into Real and they were carrying it. So I just want to say thank you to Mr. Donald and to all of the hardworking staff for continuing to inform us. The agricultural program is a great source of information for our farmers, and we look forward to them on Thursdays. And we look forward to working with them for the coming year. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you again.
Yes, Colin, it's always good. I guess the staff in RealFM and Andrew Donald must be feeling good. RealFM is our only success story in radio outside St. George's. It's not easy to come in St. Patrick's and open a radio station. It's not easy. You think it's easy to get advertisement? It's not easy. I remember one instance when RealFM under the farmers program was trying to get people from agriculture and other people from St. George's, and they thought St. Patrick's was too far for them to come. So RealFM under Andrew Donald come down, I think was in Sky High. I don't know if it's some area by Dennis Well. I don't know where they went. Somewhere around there. So they could meet them halfway to have the program. And after that, they still wouldn't come. Because it's a program, because it's a radio station in the north, these individuals don't give it status. It is not easy. From the time the election go, individuals are campaigning to cut off the advertisement from RealFM. So because the government has incorporated political mischief, individuals who are hardline NDC is discouraging to advertise with the station. The agriculture program has been going on for about 16 years. I think that is the best agriculture program and most consistent that I have heard in the Caribbean. And it is managed by farmers. The main resource personnel are farmers, not rich farmers, struggling farmers that take the time off and come Thursday after Thursday on the program. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon.
And you are our last caller.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Go right ahead.
Yes. What going on? I don't like to call regular. What I find what going on in this Grenada here? Grenada have a lot of good-minded people, and you have a lot of bad-minded people. And the reason why I'm saying that, the poorer set of people, the no needy set of people lie down all in their house, lie down. Some of them don't even have a child. But when the other people decide to help them out with something, you have some of the bad-minded people what kicking against it. And I don't like that. I don't feel happy with that at all. That's not good enough. Whatsoever they decide to give somebody, don't kick against it. Who don't want to give, give. And who don't want to give, don't give. Right? I don't like what's going on because every time I listen you have a certain radio station, every time I listen to the program what's going on it, it's only a set of war what fighting. Dog biting. You there?
Yes, caller.
Yes. So I don't appreciate that at all. Whatsoever you give to somebody, who want to give, give, and who don't want to give, don't give. When there is anybody are willing to give anybody that can help themselves anything, no, who don't want, they shouldn't kick in against it. If they mind.
Yes, thank you, caller. Caller, we out of time.
All right. Well,
thank you very much. And next
all
time
right,
you could call back, caller.
Yes.
But that is a very good point the caller is making because we had a number of statements over the years that people getting handout. Government try to help 10,000 people in Grenada to build a little toilet inside the house. I was shocked with the level of criticism this program get. The Imani program was bashed for about 15 years. Now the government come in power. The only policy they have, they say they're going to reimagine the program. And a number of people in the program over 35 years are worried they will be fired from the program for no justification. If you don't have a better alternative, continue with the status quo while you try to improve it. We want to thank you very much for being with us today. We're back with you tomorrow between 12 and 1, God's will, for another opportunity to punch and to speak about other companies we believe in Grenada that have been seriously disadvantaging the marginalized. Thank you very much.